So we're in the final stages of working with a new pediatric office. We're just wrapping up some terms before we start working together. But they've opened a completely new practice about 4 months ago. So they didn't acquire one. They don't have an existing patient pool that they bought out. They have completely started from scratch, and it's been about 4 months. And to date, they've seen about 20 patients, so about 5 per month. And of course, they're struggling. They're in the red, and they want to get everything set up so that they start seeing more patients. And okay, let's take this as a learning lesson here. The first thing is that new patient acquisition should be prioritized as one of the first things you solve, not something you solve later down the road, simply because cash flow is so important. And if you don't have cash flow and you let that exacerbate for, in this case, 4 months, then you're going to end up in a situation where you have even less cash flow, or you even have less cash reserves, and now you have less of an ability to make investments into the things that will bring you cash flow, right? So timing is crucial here. If they had started with figuring out new patient acquisition earlier on, then they would have had more resources to invest into producing that cash flow. And so it's like in investing, if you have a higher principal and you invest sooner, then you're going to see way more of a return just because of how time and exponential results work. So that is lesson number one. The second thing is that it's going to be important to, like, you're going to have to make investments into getting new patient acquisition. Today, it's not so much about showing up in a way that is better and that immediately starts attracting people. There's a lot of inertia already at hand. There's a lot of people who are satisfied with their current providers, people who are not looking actively to figure out which dental practice is the best. And even when they do, you're going to be on the back foot because you're going to have less reviews than the other practices who have worked on it because you're new. You're going to have less of a reputation, less trust built, right? So it's not that we just show up one day and say, hey, we built this thing, it's going to be more modern, it's going to be, better in whatever metric that you care about, and suddenly people are going to flock to you. It just doesn't work like that. What we actually have to do is break those barriers. And right now, the last really resort that we have is the work of advertising. That platforms like Google and Meta, or wherever people's attentions are, have designed it so that now if you want to get an advantage on their platform, you have to pay them. And that's the reality of it. So make sure when you start a practice, or if you're looking to grow a practice, just understand that you're going to have to make investments probably into advertising. Alternatively, you can make investments into becoming very remarkable to make it so that for every patient who comes in your door, the chances of them referring you and spreading the word about you through word of mouth is increased. And that is an investment in itself, because now you have to look at things like alignment, things like how do we position ourselves. And these are more meta marketing strategies that I think are very important, because let's say right now they don't have that large of a budget. I don't think they're in a position where they can spend thousands of dollars to attract the number of people that they need. And so what they would have to do is spend a smaller budget, just enough so that it breaks the break-even point, and so they make some profit. And over time, they can eventually reach a place where they can invest more. But that is a very long process. So the work they need to be doing right now, because they don't have the financial resources, is to be putting in investments into the meta marketing strategies of things like, what are we going to stand for? What type of practice are people going to tell others that we are about? And crafting the narrative within their office throughout by designing their experience in such a way that people who come in contact with that office are way more likely to recommend them to future people. So that investment is going to pay off, because when, let's say they get 10 patients a month now working with us, that number of people, and let's say in the past one would refer out, if they do the work of improving how they show up and their level of remarkability to other people, then for every 10 patients, let's say 3 come in now, right? And that perpetuates itself too. That is an asset and an investment they're building in that sense. So if you're starting out, make sure you have set aside enough investment for you to solve this issue of new patient attraction. It's going to be very important. And if you don't have a budget that can sustainably get to that level, because it's going to be a significant budget and it's also going to take some time before advertising systems work, that during that downtime, you can work on the other important metrics of trust, relationships, having people understand what you're about, positioning yourself in a way that you're separate from the other people, right? Differentiation, how that's going to look. And if you're unsure what that process is like, I'll put my course in the description below. I'm working on a third version of the course. It's going to be much less theory. Right now, it's a lot of theory, and I'm kind of asking you to stretch by having an open book and a blank canvas and getting you to fill in the blanks. But in this next course, I think I'll make it very concrete and just walk you through all the strategies and give you a few options for you to pick from. But that said, check out the course. I think it's going to help you out a lot if you're in this situation. And yeah, hope you found this video helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one.